Today in the shop, I wanted to share some what I think are very useful tips for anybody who has a GoPro camera and uses it for action footage. In my case, it's from a motorcycle, but the same technology would apply if you're doing it from the hood of your Ferrari or from your carbon fiber bicycle or rollerblading. It doesn't matter. There's some good general information on mounting the camera and avoiding resonant vibration, and some funny stories along the way. I have had a lot of experience with these cameras and with all cameras going back to 1987, and some of these stories are funny, some are sad, but one thing's for sure, they're all true. So the purpose of this video is to show some things that I've learned over many years. I started shooting video in 1987. Somewhere in the video I'll kind of go through that long history, but right now, if you have a little GoPro or similar camera, I have some tips maybe that'll make your video shooting a little more fun, a little easier, or if you want to post on YouTube maybe. But almost everybody I know that ever bought one of these cameras and has a motorcycle wants to see themselves going around the twisties or following their best friend or whatever. I have found it to be a lot of fun, a lot of entertaining, and I've turned it into a really nice hobby, posting these videos on YouTube. So I'm going to try to share some information, some things I've learned over many years of shooting video. So the way I started, and I started many years ago, I started in 1987 with the big VHS camera taped to the top of a motorcycle gas tank. Never really worked out convenient, and it evolved into having a flip camera that the flip camera company went out of business. And I was shooting video many years before there even was a YouTube, so that was not a factor. I just shared the rides on VHS tape with my friends. But anyway, that's long ago. Then I wanted to pick up that history with, I had started out with the ordinary Canon cameras, and these are pretty generic. They do a lot of things real well. I had made a mount for the motorcycle, for the handlebars, and I went out and I said, gee, let me shoot some video. Wow, that was good. Going around the corners, taking pictures of Luciano. All of the stuff was great. And there was only one problem. The wind noise is off the chart bad with these. You almost have to shut the sound off. And I have tried over the years many times to figure out how to get rid of that wind noise. With these cameras, pretty much impossible. Now early on in getting these cameras, and I try to make all kind of mounts for the motorcycle, from the front, from the back, so I could see me, I could see the bike, I could see various things, shooting the speedometer, going through the gears, just an endless amount of experiments that I did. I even took pictures of the back sprocket going at high speed. I loved the camera in the back. That was one of the things that intrigued me, but there was always something that preyed on my mind. No matter what I did, I always wanted to make the sound better. It was the sound that used to make me crazy all the time. Now, I'd come home from these rides and look at the camera mounted, thinking the camera would pick up the sound better from this angle, from that angle, from my helmet. I was never happy shooting things from my helmet because my head is on loose or something. It just always looked like it was shaky. I never could capture that feeling that I was riding the motorcycle, and that's what I always wanted to have, was the feeling that you're riding the motorcycle. And I made all these mounts probably, over the course of 4 or 5 years. But the one I liked at this point in development, I really did like the rear mount. And I think if you listen to this is one of the reasons I just never liked the sound. The sound used to make me crazy. And the sound when you're riding the bike is so nice, and yet to hear this, it's not authentic anyway. That's my only opinion here. So I always was working on the sound. No matter where I mounted the camera, in front, back, side, again, it was always annoying to me. Even with the better grade of cameras, and even with the flip, you could never get that sound to be totally authentic. So what had originally happened, the flip cameras did nice video for track day. Both Luciano and I had, when we did our track days together, we both had flip cameras, but unfortunately they went out of business, and that was the end of flip. So what had happened is, then Luciano found this And I just wanted to put this on here because this may be appealing to some people. There are very, very inexpensive GoPro, I call them fake GoPros. This is just one of them. I don't even know if I have the camera in here anymore. Well, this is the box anyway. Oh, here's the camera. Okay, and they're from, obviously from overseas, and I think I have a dozen of them all together. I probably have 6 or 8 or 10, maybe more, I don't know. But here's the funny thing with these. These are basically in the $15 to $25 range. And the good news is, I just take one at random, it doesn't even matter. And they all advertise as different names, but I think inside they're pretty much the same camera. These actually shoot some nice video. The sound, not so much. So I have always had issues with the sound because I experienced the motorcycle sitting on it with a helmet on and no earplugs, and I want to put that on the video. Really difficult to do though. But anyway, I did have many, many years of shooting with these very inexpensive cameras. All that video is on YouTube. And there's no reason on earth, if you're not going to do it to send it out to your friends, if it's just for you to look at on your TV, mute the sound down. These inexpensive cameras do work fairly well. And again, they're under, I think the most expensive one I had was $27. And they worked fine. But they're not at the quality I would want to post something up on YouTube where I want the sound to be right and I want it to be in focus all the time. And that's where these are a little limited, but they're certainly good for people who just want to take some video. Now, in trying to chase the sound down better, one of the things I had experimented with, and I have several of these. This one, I have ones that have a big fuzzy thing goes over the end. These were about 15 bucks. Some of the cameras accept remote mics, some don't, the inexpensive ones. But I never found this to be any better than at eliminating the wind noise or picking up the sound of the motorcycle the way I was happy with. That I never really achieved using a remote mic. Now this is where the useful information you can pick up off the video. This is good information if you're serious about shooting video and getting the sound right. Turbo Steve was the one turned me onto these. These are called wind slayers. They make them two ways. There's fake ones from China that really do nothing. And then there's real GoPro ones, and they look exactly the same. They feel the same. And one works perfectly, and one doesn't work at all. So the first thing, if you're chasing down good sound with a real GoPro now I don't think I've ever used these on the inexpensive cameras. I just lived with the fact I wasn't happy with the sound. But so a couple of things happened with these that I wanted to share, and I've put this on the video already. So as they get old from taking them apart and putting them back on your jacket or helmet or whatever, they start to deteriorate. So. And of course, this is a couple of years old, and thank you again, Turbo Steve was the one came up with this. So my first thing is get rid of the fake ones, get a real one, and if you're like me and you're kind of clumsy, I put this O-ring, let me just take it off, let's see if I can get it off with my bare hands here. I put the O-ring around because what had happened is in the course of moving the camera around and hitting the buttons and everything, and you want to be careful not to hit the lens with your glove, because I have this big gauntlet glove that scratches everything. So what happens is that when I was shooting video several times, that edge would just come over and ruin the footage. But it seems like the O-ring, I'm not going to put it on while I have one hand available, the O-ring is the solution to that, and to get a real wind slayer, not a fake one. So then at some time, I really got frustrated. I started talking to people that knew about cameras and exchanging emails. Somebody told me the newer version of Canon has a much better ability to deal with wind noise. So I went out and spent $200, whatever they were, $150. And I was all excited. I went out to my driveway. The wind was blowing. The wind noise was just as bad. Now, I don't know the answer to that. And I don't know anybody that ever has, because here's the answer. You see people that are doing news shows on TV that have probably thousands of dollars tied up in cameras and mics, and then the guy's talking and you hear the wind noise. And on a motorcycle, there's always going to be wind noise. There's almost no time, unless the wind isn't blowing at all, or if you're overriding the wind noise with the sound of the engine. Well, again, the Turbo Steve solution was the only thing worked, but they don't make a wind slayer for these cameras. I have never been able to find one. I've never found a solution. other than when you edit the video, if you're going to post it, get rid of the sound and do a voiceover. Now, some of the information I learned, and I learned this all the hard way. Again, like this little O-ring. I have 2 of these cameras, and thank you Najat, who donated both of them when he upgraded his cameras. And he's a professional photographer, so he was very helpful in setting these up. But I did find out something that I thought was worth sharing. Whenever I would shoot with, this has a wide, medium, and narrow angle. When I would shoot where I mount the camera to my jacket, what would always happen, and it was terrible, is along the edge of the screen, it would go in and out of focus a lot. When I went to medium setting, it got a lot better, and at narrow, it totally goes away. But that setting is in all the cameras, and it's intuitive how to get to it. So I always shoot either medium or narrow, the wide setting on these 2 cameras. And again, these are old cameras. These are 3s. I'm sure they have more modern one. Pete has a more modern one. And other people I've talked to, you know, they look at these like they're dinosaurs. But this is what I have. This is the army I go to war with. So if you're new to video and you're new to shooting on a motorcycle, what you find out is every time you go out and shoot video, you want to make it better, the sound better, the picture better, something different. And I've enjoyed experimenting with them. A lot of times I have to throw the whole day's footage away. But one of the things, and it's a shame I never tried this before, these cameras have a feature called Pro Tunes. I saw the feature, I saw it in the manual, and I said, no, I didn't even know I said tunes, and I thought it was just about the sound. The feature in the camera actually makes better video. It's clear. Now, I edit this on a widescreen monitor, and then I watch it on a 70-inch TV before I release it to YouTube, and I can see the clarity by engaging, and you go through it intuitively, just look in the manual how to do it. And that Pro Tunes, that's the best tip I can give you, is use the Pro Tunes if you're going to shoot action footage. It really does come out nicer. Now, from all the videos that I've posted out there, and we're coming up on 2,500 here, one of the ones I have a very nice selection of. If you want to make some solid mounts, and these are all mounts I've made for various motorcycles. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show the ones I might have been the first one that ever mounted a flip camera to a model plane and did aerobatics. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. I don't really know, and I don't care. But I do have the footage. I found it. I'll put it at the end of the video if you're interested. But making all these mounts just taught me how important it was to deal with resonant vibration. Vibration was always a problem on a motorcycle. And then why I ultimately came to the fact, after hundreds of hours of doing this, that the best place to mount it is to, in my case, to the jacket. And that way has worked out for many, many years with good footage. Now, I literally have out in the garage 2 buckets, like Kentucky Fried Chicken buckets, of camera mounts I've made that go all over the motorcycle. I was always looking for what I thought would be the best setting. Jose gave me the idea one day. He says, you know what? Make it so it feels like you're riding a motorcycle. Put the camera right on your chest. Well, here's what happens. Good information. I've moved this up less than an inch, and it hits the chin of my helmet. Annoying. If I move it down an inch, all I see is the speedometer and the instruments, and in my case, the Valentine radar detector. So finding this sweet spot is not a one-shot thing. And I wanted to share this. This is how I make it. I have a piece of carbon fiber, and I've got the things that go on the bottom of chairs, so if I ever crash, these bolts don't go right into my chest and impale me like Vlad the Impaler. And I always found out that taping the bottom of it down, what it does, it keeps the camera from doing this, or as you move along. Now, what's nice, in the winter when I have extra clothing on, that makes this rock solid. As it gets warmer, sometimes I get this little loose thing going on, and what I'll do is I'll just put something here, just a little pad or something, to keep this stiff, because keeping this stiff is part of the problem. When you mount the camera to a motorcycle, on the handlebars, the foot pegs, wherever you're going to put it, it's resonant vibration you deal with. When it's on your body is the big rubber biscuit, but you still have to ensure that it's not doing that. Now, it's nice if you're not going to use a wind slayer, you're done. That's the end of that. You go shoot your footage, you take the camera off. Now, and I'm going to follow this up with a really funny story. With the Wind Slayer, I found out that they get chewed up pretty well, and I'm going to have to go get a couple extra ones. But the Wind Slayer does make the sound better and gets rid of the noise. And you think, oh, I know what everybody out there is saying. What happens if you're not paying attention or whatever, and boom, the camera, it does this in the middle of going through the gears, boom, and you lose the camera. Well, guess what? I want to share a story. Now, over the years, on every one of the bikes I have, I had made multiple camera mounts for the side. I used to be intrigued by shooting from the side, shooting forward, shooting backwards, shooting pictures of my shoes, shooting pictures of me. This was just one of the side mounts I had made. And I documented every one of these they're all on my channel. And if you put my name in quotation marks and camera mounts, there comes up 40, 50 videos of different things I made. Here's one looking backwards where you could see your shoe or your knee or something. And this is what the camera mount looked like on the side of the motorcycle. So everybody that rides in this area knows where Long Meadow Boulevard is. And we're on Long Meadow Boulevard. I don't remember exactly how fast we were going, but we were going fast. And all of a sudden I looked down and my camera's not there. I said, oh, that's inconvenient. Turn around, went back to where I started, and about a mile back, and I start coming up the road, and here's a piece of the camera. Here's the battery. Here's something else. And I just picked up all the pieces and put them in my pocket. I said, well, I got spare parts. Well, I wound up taping the whole camera back together. It's pretty, there's nothing inside of these. There's just little chipboards and stuff, and the little switches. And I said, geez, you know what? I don't know, maybe I could use this for something, attach it to an eagle or something. If he drops it, it's not a problem. But anyway, I thought, let me see if it still works. I put the battery in, put my finger where the button used to be. The light came on, and it worked. And the only part of this camera that doesn't work, the monitor in the back doesn't work. But then real GoPros don't have a monitor anyway. But even if my point is, if you drop one of these off a bike or break it, get all the parts. Especially if you have an expensive one. In this case, it's a $20 camera, so I'm not going to worry. But if you have a $4,000 or $5,000 camera, whatever, expensive camera, you'd want to save the parts, because I'm sure nothing breaks. They just come apart like a Lego set. Now, again, thank you, Najat, for donating this. This was all part of the donation to my cause here. And all of these mounts, you can use these with the Canon camera too. And I've got thousands of these. I really have this is only one of 3 buckets that I have. A couple of things I learned this the hard way. So did Mark Morgan, by the way. They always give you this double-sided tape, so what you're supposed to be able to do is mount your camera and then mount it to your helmet or your face or something. I don't trust this. Mark lost the camera. I didn't lose one, but I reached back one day and it was hanging on by a thread. I never used the sticky stuff. These, I know, just useful information. These you put to the gas tank or in a hood of your car, you lock it, you clip it and everything. But always use a lanyard. Always use something, a shoelace or something. And again, oh, here's one. I guess Najat had this for if it comes off the hood of your car. He was shooting video, if I remember right, on his Ducati track bike. But anyway, I wanted to show, I just got to dig here to show it. I've never used these successfully. When you have it all locked up, the sound is muted. If you drill out the back, it gets better, but it never picks up the authentic sound. It always picks up the sound like something that's not real. These mounts that pinch together, let me show one of these. These seem to work pretty well if you're going to mount it to the handlebars of the bike, because you still have your buttons and everything. And these seem to work, but again, over the course of doing this for many, many years, and believe me, I started in '87 with that big giant camera. It was embarrassing riding around with that big camera on a bike, and I never got any footage that was worth sharing. And that was before YouTube. Even if you had footage, you couldn't share it. I'm older than YouTube, but then I'm older than everybody, I think. Anyway, here I wanted to show you. Oh, they do have some that have the hole cut in the back, and anyway, I've got a bunch of these. But the point is and I wanted to make this real clear, that to go out and have fun with a GoPro camera, it's really not that difficult to get the setting on the camera that you're happy with. Have it mounted either to your handlebars, your helmet, your face shield, whatever, however you think it's going to mount. But if you're doing something with suction cups, I'd want to put a lanyard on there or a shoelace. I don't want it flying off, especially if it's a $400 one. I don't want it flying off the bike. And especially if your best friend's riding behind you and you knock out his 2 front teeth. So the whole point of the video is, if you're new to video and you want to shoot some video, and I think most of the people would enjoy that, or share it with your family, your friends, or post it on YouTube. And that'll be a whole nother video for me of the evolution of how I worked that out. Anyway, these, again, if anybody out there in the real world that's a professional knows how to get rid of the wind noise, this would be a good choice. Now, because this shoots with a normal lens. This shoots with a parabolic lens. So it's like a fisheye. Out at the edge, it's distorted. So it would be nice if you ever could figure out, or if there's a camera somewhere in between that captured good sound without needing a wind slayer, you know. But a lot of that stuff is pie in the sky for professionals with a lot of money. And no matter how you decide to mount it, in this case it's on a part of the handlebar, and I made high ones, low ones, ones that went around the windshield, ones that actually mounted to various parts of the bike. And I was obsessed with this. And to the helmet, I never was happy with anything mounted to the helmet because my head moves around too much. And I used to try to catch a part of the speedometer to see how fast I was going. On the RD, I had front mounts and back mounts. I wanted to capture that sound. The rear mount on the Ferrari bike worked so well, but it never captured the sound the way I wanted it. That was always the issue. And but anybody that knows me knows I'm pretty relentless, and I don't quit easily. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show, after the end of the video, some of the footage we made with the flip camera. So I hope there was good information on this and something that's useful. Now, that Pro Tunes thing is a real thing. That wind slayer information, critical. And I would encourage everybody, if you've never done it before and you have a GoPro camera, get one of the mounts to work, shoot some, come look at it, edit it on your computer. You can do simple editing right in YouTube. There's a simple edit program, and you can learn it in 10 minutes. And you can get into more and more complex things. But for me, it's turned into a nice hobby for me. I enjoy doing it. First of all, it makes me always shoot the footage and look at it and try to make it better. I'm constantly trying to make it better. But then when I learn something, I'm able to pass it on to you very conveniently, and I hope you'll pass it on to somebody else too. So we went back, and this is really true, went back to 1987. I can remember this like it was yesterday. We're at the National Model Airplane Championships in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Ken Budensink comes over. I'm fixing a model plane. He starts, I had never seen a VHS camera before. And he's taking pictures. "Oh, Mr. Ertnowski, do you mind if I take pictures?" I said, "Sure." And I was intrigued by what he did. I'd never even seen a video camera in 87 now. And what happened is we formed a friendship where he actually loaned me his camera. I had all my modeling friends notice. I did a video on VHS tape for him, a master copy that he sold hundreds of copies of. And in return, I got to keep the camera. So it worked out pretty good. I then was free to experiment when I took pictures of the grass growing and every possible thing. But as time went by, again, it morphed into the flip camera, which was a lot better, especially in terms of size and everything. But then flip went out of business, so it was terrible. But these GoPro, whether you get the $20 one or I'm sure these ones that shoot 360 degrees and everything, maybe I don't even know what the price is. But anyway, the point is, no matter what level of stuff you do, it can be a lot of fun. It's relatively inexpensive compared to polo ponies or whatever, you know, going to wine tasting country in the Napa Valley or whatever. But anyway, these can really add a nice little dimension to your motorcycling life. I've had them on the back of the bike. At one point in time, I had one front, back, and down. Talk about shooting 180 degrees. But all of that stuff, I was experimenting and having fun and making mounts and doing different things. I actually had, when I had the flip camera, I remember this, I was at Billy Sargent's house up by the frozen lake. We taped it with some kind of Velcro or tape to the nose of a model plane and did a aerobatic pattern, and you can see it was pretty wild stuff. I bet Billy remembers that. But anyway, the whole purpose of all the videos is to learn something if you can, enjoy it, and for all purposes you've shared a cup of coffee with me at my house and in my studio, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching.
You know, one other client, eat your heart out. We're flying. Oh, the camera's still on. Hello. Whew. I think I might have a heart attack. Anyway, we're going inside. We're going to make a pot of coffee.
And this is me flying. This is what it would look like from the plane on a frozen lake at Billy Sargent's house. This is a camera mounted on the plane. You want to see some maneuvers, what it looks like. This is very cool footage. Obviously the plane's upside down here. Gives you an idea of what the G-forces are on a typical stunt pattern on a control line stunt model. Some very cool stuff Billy and I did from a couple of years ago. Square loop. Well, it all happens really fast too. See the little spot we have shoveled off in the middle of the lake. It's on a frozen lake, which I'm not sure the name of the lake, but that's Billy Sargent.
That was Billy Sargent's, well, that's old footage. The lake by Billy Sargent's house, and that was, I believe, one of the first, maybe not the first, I don't know and I don't care, one of the first planes to have a remote camera on an aerobatic model plane. That was pretty cool stuff. So in the course of making this video, it brought back a lot of good memories of, well, flying a model planes on a frozen lake with the camera. That was pretty cool. And we've done a lot of pretty cool inventive stuff over the years. A lot of it failed. Some of it worked out pretty good. And the whole problem with everything, if you could see the future, well, who knew there would never be any more flip cameras? That's a real shame. But anyway, I hope you did get some good information off the video. Hope you go shoot some video and experiment around and play around and have as much fun as I have over my lifetime. And don't get caught by the cops. Thanks so much for watching.